Okay, Pam. A few things I want to comment on here. Um, your your overall setup for the two sample t-test ran, and your calculations here are all correct. The problem is the thing that you were testing is not meaningful in any sense. Basically, it was an apples and oranges thing. So what it looks like you did here is when you were adding the data to the two sample t-test, I'm guessing you selected these down to somewhere around here, and then you selected these percentages. First of all, these should not be percents like this. If we go back here, what it looks like you may have done is just shifted this from a number to a percent. So these were, I think, the original numbers, and then you just converted that to a percent. What we actually need to do is, let's say in Allegheny County, if we just change these to a percent, so it's 6,281,000%, that's not really a meaningful number. What we want to know is what percent of the adults in Allegheny County have used drugs recently. And in order to get that, we actually have to run a calculation, not just change the format. So I'm going to put an equal sign here, and we can divide this number by the total in the county. And I think I mentioned to you before, ideally I would have just gotten the number of adults in each county. I think I grabbed everyone in the county. But let's put that aside for now and say basically we have this 0.05. If I then double click on this, that'll run that same calculation for every county in Pennsylvania. And then this, by clicking on J here, this is what we can convert to a percent. So this is really what needs to be analyzed here. And sorry, when I paste, I'm going to right click here, paste special values only. So this is percent recent drug use. So this is a more meaningful percent. That tells us that 5.14% of the people in Allegheny County, if we assume that only the adults are the ones using drugs, it's probably going to be a little higher. But we would say 5.14% of the people in Allegheny County have recently used drugs, according to this data. So that's the first thing. The other issue is you're really just using this column A to separate into two groups, the low drug usage group and the high drug usage group. When you run the two sample t-test, that's not what you're comparing. You're actually comparing the depression rates. So your data that you put into the two sample t-test should be coming from over here and over here. First, we would want to sort this like that. So now it's in order. And let me, yeah, it's in order, and then you could decide where you want your dividing line to be. Let's say, for example, you say anything below 5% is the low group right here. It's a good thing, low drug usage, and anything over here is the high drug use group, right? So what you're comparing, though, is not these numbers and these numbers. That's just to divide into the two categories. If, and this appears to be maybe what you did over here, if you run these data right here on this column A, what you're doing is a test. Do the counties with do the low drug use counties have a lower percent of drug usage than the high drug use counties? Which, if it doesn't make sense to you, it shouldn't. That's a nonsense question. Of course the answer is yes. The high drug use counties use drugs more often than the low drug use counties, because that's that's how we set up the two groups in the first place. So of course they're going to use drugs at a higher rate than these counties. What we really want to do is see these low drug use counties, do they have a lower average rate of depression than the rate of depression in the high drug use counties? And that is a very meaningful question. The other thing, so again, if you would rerun that now, you can actually put the output as E2, and that should go on top of this, and that would automatically update these, I believe. Worst case scenario, you have to do these again, but I'm pretty sure that would just update over top. Now, the other thing you mentioned was that you had somehow messed up this Republican column. So one thing I want to make sure you know is that in Google Sheets, one of the advantages is you can never, quote unquote, mess something up permanently. If you go up here to where it says all changes saved in Drive, you can revisit any version of the spreadsheet. So if we wanted to go back to, and these little arrows will give you even more detailed version. So let's say right here. Okay, if we would go back to here, we would have the Republican Democrat column. And you don't need to do that. Your depression, smoking, connection, that's perfectly fine. But if you ever want to go back, you would just click restore this version. Now I'm not going to do that right now because that would overwrite what I've done here on the week 7 sheet. If you're in a situation like this where you wanted to save this, but you also wanted the Republican Democrat, you can do that as well. All you would have to do is copy this right here to a new spreadsheet. So just go to like File, New Spreadsheet, and you would copy all of this. Maybe we just select all like this. Let me just go ahead and do it since I've gone this far. And then I did a Control V, paste. Notice this happened right here with these references. All I have to do that is paste values only, and then that will give me the values instead of the formulas. It does take off the formatting, so I'd have to do the red, green again. But then I could go back to this earlier version right here, I believe, and then I could restore this version. So this would give me the Democrat and Republican there. I'm going to go ahead and put week 7 test, and then just grab all of this here and put it there. So that's how you can go back and forth. One thing I just realized, by pasting the values only, I did erase those formulas. So that would not, now you would, if you repaste the new t-test results, you would have to calculate the formulas again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to revert it to how it was before I started any of this, and I'll let you decide how you want to handle this. So I'm going to go, let me go a little more detailed version here. Maybe how it was at 303. Yeah, let's go back to right here. Okay, but you yourself can click on that and you can go back to any version that you saw me do in this video. They're all saved there. So as it stands right now, this is the percent smoking. As it stands right now, you would want to divide this into 2 groups, then rerun the t-test on column B, using the data from column B for both the low and the high. Sorry, this was drug use, right? So the low drug use and the high drug use group. From column B, you would paste your results in E2, and then that should cover over, and these formulas should update automatically. And please just let me know if you have any questions.